And for 45 minutes, you come in and I introduce you to the art of candle making with healthier ingredients. And you are invited to create your own thing with your scent, with your vessel, whatever you'd like. So you are really creating something that is unique to you, and it's quality as well.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards, the podcast dedicated to helping high performers unlock their true potential and cultivate a powerful mindset for success. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, a mindset coach and advocate for healthy high performance. Join me on this transformative journey as we delve into strategies, insights, and inspiring conversations with experts and thriving high performers. Get ready to master your mindset, elevate your performance, and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back. We have a beautiful episode today. I have the pleasure of interviewing Melanie Rousselet. She is a French New Yorker who has a passion for scent. She founded Artisane Candle Atelier in New York City 5 years ago to teach people how to make their own scented candles. So cool. Using cleaner, healthier ingredients. These experiences are offered in person and online, and each participant is invited to discover the art of candle making while being a part of the creative process of their own candles. Her business is about 5 years old, I believe, and with this beautiful business, she's been able to leave her corporate jobs about 1.5 years ago. Congratulations to her. And she's finding a whole new reason and purpose in life. So conversing with Melanie was an absolute joy. She is someone who is so dedicated to her work. And we, of course, also talk about how to master your mindset in terms of work-life balance, what's allowed her to get to where she is today. And if you're someone who wants to achieve greater heights in life, this is definitely a conversation that you want to tune into. So without further ado, please enjoy this next episode. For those that don't know, Melanie is a contestant of The Blocks, and we met each other on the show for The Blocks. So I know today's combo is going to be so juicy. She was such a leader at our time of The Blocks. She made it to the finals multiple times, and it was just always so good to listen into what she was doing in her business. And I can't wait to just get to know you as a person even deeper behind the business. So I'm going to start off with the first question. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So can you provide a brief overview of your journey as the founder of Artisane Candle Atelier? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, in New York City. So can you tell me more? How did you get into that? What has been your journey of that? So the listeners can have a better understanding of what it is that you do.
Yes, and hi, Julissa. It's so nice to see you. I can't believe it was a month ago already.
I know.
Since we were shooting The Blocks, but so nice to see you. And thanks for having me in your podcast. I'm really honored. And to answer your question, Artisane Atelier literally just celebrated 5 years earlier this year. So it's been, already a milestone here. But I started with the idea that I wanted to create a brand of scented candle, but using healthier ingredients, because I've found out through my experiments of using scented candle a lot, and through also obviously investigating and trying to learn a bit more about how they were made and all, I was getting a lot of headaches and some sort of sensitivity. And I wonder, could it be something from the ingredients? Could it be something, from the wax and stuff? So I started my journey really learning and experimenting. I think I had eventually over 100 of failed candles in my cabinet because I've been doing so many trials of different ingredients and stuff. But it started like that, and then it really quickly shifted. At first, I really wanted to focus on selling the brand, and I'm very creative. I wanted to bring also, some sort of inspiration from my childhood in France, because I grew up in the south of France. Obviously, that's something we can notice from the accent.
We love it.
Thank you. I should start by that, because sometimes people are surprised when they hear me. They're like, hold on a second, you sound kind kind of weird, like, or different or whatever. But
Yeah.
yes, indeed, that was a huge source of inspiration for me, especially with the scents. And this is my passion, really. Since I was a kid, I've always had a strong passion for scents, perfumes. I was collecting mini bottles, and it was like kind of translating all of this, like my focus on quality ingredients and my passion for scent. So it started with the candle line, but quickly it really shifted in the atelier, which is the workshop. So this is these experiences that I have, and I'm hosting now all over the city in my space, but in other people's space as well. And for 45 minutes, you come in and I introduce you to the art of candle making with healthier
Beautiful.
ingredients. And you are
Mm.
invited to create your own thing with your scent, with your vessel, whatever you'd like. So you are really creating something that is unique to you, and it's quality as well.
Wow, that is sounds amazing, therapeutic, so well thought out, and from personal experience of what was not working for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, frankly, it really did not, when I started, it really wasn't the vision I had in mind to do the workshop and to grow that side of the business. But that's really what happened. And I'm really glad in a way that it pushed me a little bit outside of my comfort zone, exploring other ideas. And I felt like it really worked, so I'm happy with that.
Hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, and you're based in New York City for those that don't know.
Yes, I'm based out of New York City now. It's been 7 years now that I'm in New York.
Okay, beautiful. And remind me, how long have you been doing this now for?
So 5 years ago, I
Okay.
started Artisane. Yes,
Okay, beautiful. So that's a good amount of time to just, get your feet wet, figuring out what you're doing, and like, yes, we're fully in business, right? And
absolutely.
so, yeah, can you tell me about some pivotal moments in your journey as an entrepreneur that really helped you gain a better understanding of this, just the school of life, right? For me, I always teach my students and my entrepreneurs that, business and life are one and the same, and we can oftentimes use these lessons in business to really they mirror things that are happening in our real personal lives, right? And so what were maybe one or two pivotal moments of like whether it was hard or whatever the story is that was like, wow, like this taught me a lot of my business, but also a lot about myself and the way that I interact with my inner world at this time.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a very interesting question because obviously there's a lot that happened in that journey those past 5 years, but also my journey here as a woman who immigrated, from my country 14 years ago, pretty much on my
Mm,
own. So I've been through a lot of challenges and moment where I was really doubting myself, as an entrepreneur, but as a person as well. And you
mm,
have to kind of reconciliate those things and be like, okay, can I just follow my intuition? Can I just listen to my inner voice and not being distracted by other people's opinions or even my own doubt, like, so I think it's really something that really was turning for me, a turning point is that when I started my company 5 years ago, I was still working full time in my past job, which is a corporate job, long hours, big commitment, and I was still making the time, finding the time, weekends, every single weekend nights to work on my business. And
mm.
a year and a half ago, I was able to quit that job. And I realized,
Congratulations.
thank you. That was a big, big moment for me because I
Mhm.
realized then that I had the resilience to keep going, even if really it started becoming a lot, like we're talking about this here, but mental health, like I was struggling a lot on that department because, you're
Mm,
really tired, you're burning yourself out, you want to prove yourself constantly that you made the right decision, and you can be the hardest person on yourself.
mhm,
So eventually I had to learn to kind of like be a lot more compassionate with myself, a lot more patient,
mm.
and kind of like balance these things out. And it's constantly, a struggle. um, I'm sure you can relate, but when you work for yourself, you don't have anyone to stop you, to tell you, hey, take a break here and go eat. You didn't eat today. Like, and
Yep.
you just push yourself also because it's your business. That's how you make money. That's how you live.
Yep.
So you really have to be that person also that take care of yourself. And I
Mhm.
can, sometimes I find that part to be challenging.
Yeah, thank you for your share. That's such a beautiful, vulnerable share that I relate to as well. In the beginning, so yes, to your point of there's no one guiding you how to do, you're your own boss.
Yeah.
And while that may seem very liberating for a lot of people, and it is in many ways, it's also really hard because there's these expectations are being put on by self,
Yeah.
and sometimes we can run ourselves into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, my business is all online, and it also blossomed in the height of COVID, right? So I was on my phone like 24/7. There was always something to do, something to better. And I remember my struggles in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey mimicked just how I've always been as a person.
Yeah.
I had a lack of balance. I was either giving something 1,000% or
Oh,
nothing.
not at all.
Yeah. And so for me, I remember at the end of my nights, I too was still working my 9 to 5, doing my business at the end of the day, on weekends, all the things. And by the end of the day, when I tell you, I just wanted to chuck my phone across the room because I was so like, I hate the online space. Like, this is so overwhelming. It never ends, And I had to look deep, and I'm like, okay, Julissa, like, how is this representing how you handle everything in life?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm either a go hard and I give it 1,000%, or I'm so overwhelmed that I don't even want to touch it.
I hear you.
Right. So I think, yeah, business really allows us to see, like, well, who are you really? Because no one else is calling the shots here but you.
Yeah. Yeah, the responsibility
And
is yours. And you cannot even run those ideas and decisions with someone. Like, you really have to take some heavy, heavy decisions. And the only person who can do that is you. Even if you ask your friends or family for advices and stuff, they're not in your shoes. They don't know exactly what it takes to make that decision. So it really is heavy for one person. And if you don't have that balance, like you were talking about, it can be really difficult.
yeah, yeah. Love this conversation. Okay. So, how and what ways do you empower your clients, participants to explore their creativity? That within itself, I'm so happy that you do that because art is so healing.
Yes.
But how do you inspire your customers to lean into their creativity and find joy in the art of candle making?
Well, I really think that this moment for them are going to be a wellness moment, a moment for them to disconnect from whatever they're doing. And I
Yeah.
see that especially when I'm doing my corporate workshop where I go to corporations,
Oh, I love
Yeah, yeah.
that.
I literally have so many of these clients nowadays. And I really enjoy that
Mm.
part because I know I come in with my scents, my burning candles, and all this atmosphere that I'm really trying
Oh,
to
I
create.
love that.
And as soon as they walk in, I know the first thing they say is, "Oh my God, it smells good." And this is the first thing they get. And you know how um, smell has an incredible powers, right? And
Yes.
on your emotions, on your well-being, on
Yes.
so many things. So I can feel like as soon as they walk in, just by having that feeling with the scent, I can see them already like just
Mm.
embracing the journey and stopping whatever they are doing. Sometimes they are high executive who are super stressed about their life and stuff. Well, for 45 minutes, they don't even touch their phone.
Mm.
They're too busy
Mm.
anyway. And I lead this experience for them to really forget about what's going on. What really is important for me is that not only they are going to be learning something new, this is a new craft, something that sometimes they've never even heard of or never seen.
Mm.
And they're going to be like part of the creative process. So I invite them really to go through the different scents, which I usually select based on seasons or whatever I'm into, because there's always
Love it.
so many things that are inspiring. And this is the first step really with the experience. They are going through that fragrance bar and they are like smelling each of those scents, which are very different families, very, very different notes for them to be, obviously choosing something they like most. So at that time, I can already feel like they are in. They are like thinking, smelling, and then there is something happening, right? So once we start the experience, everything is like kind of on a flow, like, think of it as, step by step, and then we're like kind of running the experience in a group. I also really like the sense of community that it creates, because these people sometimes can be in front of their computers the whole day. When I do software companies, by the way, I can see their offices because they are open spaces. And
Mm.
then at the like we're all gathering at the kitchen. I have set up the room and everything, and then everybody kind of connects. And I like that moment
Mm.
because I can tell that it's not necessarily something that happened organically for them every day, So kind of like triggering that moment and having them like part of it. It's just fun. We also play those scent games. So I kind of like, I like to have them play some little games in the meantime while they are waiting for the candle to be ready. So they smell things. It's like a little blind test, and they
Yeah.
really enjoy the game also. So it's fun and there's a lot of laugh and at the end everybody's just like happy, and I like that.
I love that. Wow, what impactful work you were bringing into corporate spaces with
Thank you.
anyone that you're working with, I'm sure. But yes, these high level CEOs, business individuals, type A leaders, right, who just need to be a little less rigid and a little bit more in flow. You're bringing that to them. And honestly, like 45 minutes is not a long time. It's the perfect amount of time
It
for
is.
someone who has things to do for the rest of their day. And wow, all I was thinking was like, you're probably positively impacting them so much. My brain is business. My thoughts of like data of, like numbers like we learned at the block is like, could you check in with those employees or the company 30, 60, 90 days after, and how your mindfulness activity has really helped the company as a whole?
Yes, I love that. I mean, I don't know if that makes such a big impact, but I'm
I
definitely
think it
sure it
does.
does.
I
Um,
think it does.
the feedback I receive from all these people, have been super incredible. So I know they really enjoy it, and I want to keep on doing these things. And like I say, crafting light, one candle at a time. That's literally what we're trying to do here, and
Mm.
just grateful that it's working so well. Hope it keeps going that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's working fantastic. It seems like it's going really, really well. And yeah, I love that space. That's a sector of my business too, to help these leaders. Um, I had another individual on a previous podcast shed light, Dylan, on how he mentioned how people are normally paid what their responsibilities are. Like it's an equal match, right? So the CEO obviously gets paid a higher salary because they're handling more things at a
Yeah,
larger manager level versus someone who is more on the bottom of the funnel. And nothing wrong with that, but they have lesser responsibilities, so they're getting paid something that equates to that, right? And when you're going into companies like that, it's really nice because you're bringing everybody together.
exactly. Everybody is literally sitting at the same table, and you don't know who is the boss. You don't know. I mean, you obviously can tell from
Yeah, yeah.
but it really kind of like put, yeah, everybody back on that same level, kind of. And this is where the connection happen, and that's why I like to see that, especially when I have small teams. I can see that this is a really important moment for them to connect with the boss and that kind of like really share this experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, it really is interesting to see that from the cooperative like side,
Yeah, yeah, my thoughts exactly. Like they're able to see them as people, as humans, and not just the role in the business. And honestly, probably just getting, because no matter, yes, the amount of money that you're getting will differentiate between what your responsibilities are. But even to the one in different levels, you're still handling very much important things,
Yeah.
right? I used to work in restaurants in high school and paying my way through college, so I remember. Going to team meetings. I used to work for the Cheesecake Factory, such a good restaurant.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
And I remember they used to call us in. I worked at several restaurants, and I would say the Cheesecake Factory, in my experience, was the most organized.
Yeah.
And they used to have staff meetings
Yeah.
before we went on shift. And for me, that was like a corporate thing. I guess Cheesecake is corporate, right? Because there's a large corporation, right? And so I was just very much like, really? I'm going to a staff meeting? Like, I'm just a waiter, you know?
Yeah.
And so going into those meetings, we would have our managers like coach us, teach us of like, hey, this is what's the specials for tonight. But did you know that if you ask this question, we have a better chance of an upsale, right? Did you know that when you purchase this cheesecake, a really good pair is like the something something coffee, right? And that'll add, $8 to the bill, whatever, little things like that. And I was so young, I was like, I don't know, 19, 20 at this time, learning these things. And I was like, wow, like so interesting, right?
Yeah.
That even though we were at the bottom, the servers, busboys were at the bottom. But even though our job is like, we're the ones greeting everybody, we're the ones giving the experience. And so a CEO, someone who's leading a large company, your energy has to be intact,
Yeah.
right? You as a CEO of your company, like your energy has to be intact so that it gets filtrated into the culture,
Absolutely.
and the energetic, vibration of everyone that is around you. And I feel that with your workshops, with your candle makings, you're able to see the person for who they are. Should a problem arise, which of course they will in a business in the future, you'll be better able to talk to somebody if you feel more connected to them, not so fearful of them. And just even when problems arise, we can handle it with more ease and flow because there's love there,
Yeah.
because of the connection that you granted them in that workshop.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. And by the way,
Yeah.
I worked in a lot of restaurants as well, so I know what you're talking about. I also think
Yeah.
those experiences are extremely formative. You have no idea the amount of things that I'm still using today with my experiences from learned from back then. When I was talking about that flow that I'm trying to create, that's literally the flow that you have in a service.
Yeah.
That was such a strong source of inspiration as well. But very interesting, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'll bring it back to business. So I'd love to hear your mindset on, when you're in business, you can either be, my mentor will always tell me, you have to choose whether you're in the business of today or the business of tomorrow. Both are important.
Yeah.
And it's, how do you balance that, right? So what does it look like for you to be in the business of today with things that just a little bit more pressing and have to get done for the business to keep going, for cash flow to come in, all of that, right? Versus long-term planning that are really, it's going to set you up for your future tomorrows. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so obviously the today is very important. Like you said, there's pressing things, there's email, there's things that need to be done right away. So I think that my organization really helps because I have this to-do list that I'm working on every single morning when I wake up. And I'm not trying to go with like those longer things that are never going to be crossed. Like usually keep them on a post-it, and that's like, okay, that's something I can handle. And with that kind of organization, I feel like now I'm a little bit more like comfortable with the way that I'm not overloading myself with things. Like I'm kind of like able now to like spread out like over the week, and have that more of a healthy um, time management with the daily activity. When it comes to the business of tomorrow, I'm actually literally thinking about that right now because my business is very seasonal, so I tend to be extremely busy during the winter months, the holiday months, and then summer is going to be a lot
Mm,
slower. So usually
mm,
I take advantage of those slow moments to go back to France, spend some time with my family.
mm.
But what I'm planning on doing this summer, and both can be done actually, together, but I definitely want to be working on the strategy of the company
Yes.
for the next holiday season, for the next season. So since
Oh,
it's
I love that.
something I cannot do right now because I'm really busy with
Too
like
busy.
working on everything's happening. But as soon as everything start to slow down, which, after Mother's Day, end of May, June, my summer is gonna be literally about strategy, like what, because
Mm.
coming back from the blocks, I came back with a lot of
So
ideas,
many ideas.
so
Yes.
many ideas. I don't know if you did that, but when I came back, I literally took a piece of paper and I wrote down every single idea that I thought were
Yeah.
absolutely worth at least thinking about, and that's why it really gave me that push also of like, okay, where do I see myself going? How do I do that? What's the next step? And it really changed my perspective, because a couple of months ago I was going in another direction. So now I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, with all this new content and all this new information, and also all the feedback that I could ask anyone I could, honestly, I'm feeling like I have so much more tools that I had before. So I'm looking forward to that session in the summer where I'm going to be just thinking about the strategy, and that usually looks like me with post-it. I love post-it, right? I have a huge roll at home, and I'm literally writing all my strategy, all my idea, all the actions that I think are going to lead me to the goal that I'm trying to reach. And that's literally like right there in front of me, a little bit like a vision board. And that really helps with, just being able to compartmentalize. I have a hard time with that word, but you got it.
Compartmentalize.
Thank you. I think
Yeah.
that really helps, with organizing my idea and not feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, wow, so much. Okay, so I'm gonna, just in case the listeners don't know, I mentioned it earlier, but the blocks, the show that we were on, they taught us a lot of information of how to better run your business, how to make it more scalable, all of that. So yes, me and Melanie came home with a lot of insight of what we could better implement in our businesses to make it just smoother, better, more flowy, more systematic. So yes, I think one of my biggest takeaways from what you just said was, as an entrepreneur, it takes a couple of years to get to know this, but you have to know your busy seasons and your slow seasons. And I'll have just a personal share, like someone like me who is so used to going. When I have slow seasons in the business, it feels. It used to feel, I literally just like began to master this. It used to feel very scary.
Oh,
It used to feel like I'm not, like, it's something's not happening. Like if I'm not always busy, there's something wrong.
oh yes.
And you have to understand that if you're always busy, then you can only be concentrated on the business of today, which, hey, in the beginning it's important, but then you can't scale. You can't master your techniques to be able to copy and paste into other departments, right? So now in my business, I'm also in year four of my business. I'm really loving data. I'm loving more of the masculine traits of business, of how to have better systems, and the blocks just amplified that for me. Like I was already intrigued in that, and I have my own business coach, and we were already planning these things out. But going to the blocks really just like hyper focus on like what I want to do. And I'll be super frank, even when I came back from the business, I'm in a busy season right now of my business. And so I haven't been able, I have a whole book, like obviously the book that we took, I have a whole book of notes of what I want to implement. And then I also made a specific list of things that I can do right away. But for me, right away was quarter 2.
Yeah.
Right. So, I was like, I can't do this right now. I'm launching. I got other things happening, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Because Oldie would want to do things right away. But it's like, you have to just like have a grander vision and a more groundedness when it comes to how we're leading the company, and what moves are you going to be making at what time that best serves your company.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. And I know, because we have this conversation all the time. So many are saying the same thing. You're working for your business as opposed to be working on your business. And yeah, if the balance is really off, yeah, it's really difficult to be, the CEO, and not work, and not do the CEO task, because somebody's got to do it and you got to do it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a struggle, but I feel like eventually, especially with time and experience, and when you start to feel the business, like we're saying about the data and the season. At first, I didn't know that, but you go back 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and then finally you're like, okay, there's a pattern. So
There's
I'm
a
going to learn
pattern
from
here.
that. I'm going to
Yes.
observe that. I'm going to take notes. And you know what? I might actually take vacation at that time instead of like,
Yeah.
because, at first I was like, oh my God, like there's no business in the summer. What am I going to do? Like looking for new things and stuff like that. I'm like, hold on a second. Maybe you
You
can
just
take
chill.
some time off actually, and
Yeah.
just rest and like recharge,
Recalibrate.
so you can be ready for the next round. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I am so in tune with all of that. Absolutely. Yeah. Just learning your seasons, trusting the process, right? In the beginning couple of years, we have a lot of new businesses that listen in, or people that want to have a business. And like in the beginning, you kind of are throwing spaghetti at the wall, and that's okay.
oh yeah, big time. You have to be like, you have to be comfortable with that, you know, because at the beginning there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable moments and situations. But it's, yeah, it's all about being resilient and then just like persevere and then never like stop believing in yourself and keep going one day at a time sometimes, you know.
Yep. Yep. One day at a time. Yes. And knowing that sometimes, like I know in my journey of growth, in entrepreneurship, which is all the time, but my major pivotal moments have been now deciphering of like, okay, this is really good information. Am I in the season to actually implement this at this time, or can I just pocket this information for when I have either the support to do this better? Like making those intuitive, grounded choices of like, okay, this is great, and not feeling like everything is an emergency,
Yeah,
not feeling like everything has to get done all at once. You know, it's like, okay, like this was great. I trust that the universe, God, source, higher power has granted me this education to use at a later point in time.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that too. You know, we have to trust the process and be patient. I feel like that's one of the
Mhm.
biggest lesson, honestly, with entrepreneurship. Just have to be patient.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, girly. I have our juicy question. So, what is something right now that you haven't figured out yet? And it could be business, but it could be personal life. To me, they're one and the same. But anything that you have really been struggling with that has been hard for you as of late.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be real with you, but yeah, I'm struggling a lot with balancing my personal life with my professional life. You know,
Mm,
I made a decision earlier this year, but already I think I made that decision last year. Give yourself a personal life, girl. Please do, you know, time is passing by, what are you doing? So like this is the thing,
mm,
it's like I have this expectation, and obviously being an entrepreneur, we are talking about that earlier, you are hard on yourself, nobody's there to like stop you and tell you, hey, take a break. But now I realize how much that has impacted my personal life, and I
mm.
don't want to do that anymore because I'm really afraid that in a couple of years that's going to catch up with me and I'm going to be like, wow, I shouldn't have, you know, done that. So it really feels not counterintuitive, but it feels unnatural for me to like really push the personal time. And I
Mm.
am struggling with this every single day. I'm doing better sometimes and then I go back to my old ways. But
Mm.
yeah, this is literally what the priority is at the moment. Say, hey, no more whatever on Friday. Fridays are gonna be your days, or
Yeah.
you know, like a couple of days of vacation every month, and just like, yeah, forcing myself to allow space in my life to welcome a lot more of my personal life. Because
Yeah.
without going into much more details, but yeah, if you are really busy constantly trying to grow your business, constantly in that, you know, mindset, it's really hard to welcome other things in your life, people
Mm-hmm.
sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it feels lonely, and then you're like, I
Mm.
should work on this. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Thank you for that beautiful share. I resonate so much with that. Um, the outside world looks at our society, looks at business owners, especially those of us that like look like we're successful and like we are successful. We're doing the damn thing, you know? But no one really sees this like overpowering of ego that like we always have to be on, and to the outside world, they're receiving our highlights, right? So like I'm your friend on Facebook and I'm like, I'm seeing like you just went on a show and I'm like, yes, go Melanie, right? But no one is seeing on the back end of like, okay, how many other things is she doing
Yeah,
that led her to get to that place,
yeah,
right? That, you know, and so that's the thing. Everyone's like clapping.
yeah,
And for our egos, it's like, well, we have to keep going, you know,
yeah.
we have to
You
keep
want
doing the
more.
thing.
You want
You want
more.
more of it, right? It's this high that we're like chasing.
Yeah,
And listen, a part of it is what has made us successful up until this point. But I think back to our prior conversation, if we really want to expand, scale, then we have to dial back. And our personal life, of course, is necessary for us to have balance. I was having a beautiful conversation with one of my colleagues about energetically when we only, so I'm a mama, right? And we were talking about like motherhood and business and all the things. And um, when mothers put their entire selves in their children, like of course it's done with love, we want to give them the most, all of
Yeah.
that, but at the same time, when we only have that one identity, humans are multifaceted people, and so when we give all of our energy to just one thing, literally energetically other parts of us die.
Wow.
So you think about like what your past self used to like to do before you got into this business, relationships, love life, familial things, culture, whatever other parts of life that brought you joy, that for this moment in time, all of your energy is going to business. And we're not knocking that. Like, we're learning how to manage
Yeah.
where our energy goes,
Yeah.
right? But when something is like always taking off and we have this old mindset of like, well, it has to keep going. It's like the more that you do that, literally these other pieces, it's harder to remember what you liked about life.
Oh.
It's harder to re-engage in those aspects because it's not going to feel fulfilling at first. It's going to feel boring.
Yeah.
This thing gives me such a high, and that's all I'm used to doing. That is so hard. That's why mothers, for example, when we try to do other things, it's like, well, you feel guilty for
Yeah.
leaving the kids.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the
I heard.
same thing, but just now we're talking about business, right? And so when any human is too much in one thing, we think we're doing an amazing job, and I have so much compassion because partly we are, but at the same time, your followers, your audience, your team is only getting one sliver of your greatness.
Yeah.
Where if you focused on the whole human, a holistic version of what that could be, they would receive the nurturing side of you, they would receive the fun side of you, they would receive the intellectual side of you. Whatever you were doing in your past lives to integrate all of who Melanie is,
Yeah.
people would like think about it this way. You're
Yeah.
already doing an amazing job at what you're doing. We spoke about what you're doing for these corporate things and just for people in general, for mental health. Amazing, right? Imagine if they're only getting one slither of you.
Yeah.
Imagine what you could bring to the business. And for me, a business is about impact, right? This is a greater mission here. Imagine what you could be gifting the world if you took a little bit better care of yourself.
I really like that. And I think that's going to help me implement and work on these challenges I was just telling you about. So thank you for that. It's a really, really good insight.
Yeah, you're so welcome, girly. Yeah, something that I'm constantly working on too. I'm no master of this. I'm conscious of it.
Yeah.
Something that I've done recently. Last year, I joined a softball team, and
Oh,
yeah, super fun. We won our
oh,
game
that
last night.
sounds
It was
cool.
so good. It was like the
Oh,
highlight of my week. Yes.
love it.
But truth be told, this was an old part of me. I was super athletic in my younger years. And I thought, me being the type A leader that I am, I was like, oh, great. I need to have more fun in my life. I'm going to join a softball team and I'm going
Yeah.
to fucking kill it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I used to be really good when I was younger. And the rude awakening for me was like, wow, I actually kind of suck at this now. And for like heavy hitters like us, like that's a really hard pill to
Yeah, it
swallow.
is.
you know and so going back, I was like, damn, like this isn't it was fun, but I also had, truth, like being super honest, like a lot of anxiety before my games. I had this fear that I was going to let my team down, and like,
Oh no.
I know joining joining the team for me was like something else that will give me leisure and that'll make me feel good about myself,
Yeah.
honestly, if I'm being really honest.
Yeah.
And it brought me back to this remembrance of like, when you began as an athlete, this was for me like fifth grade, you weren't good. It took time and practice to get you to then when I was joining like all-star teams and things of that sort, but that wasn't until high school. That
Yeah.
took me 3 years and I
Yeah.
was young. I didn't have any other responsibilities,
Yeah.
So here I am out of practice since high school, thinking that I could just join a league. And by the way, they're not like, it's a serious league. I thought it was going to be like a fun league. Like they like
Yeah.
play hard.
Okay.
you know? So going back to that, I was like, this is a really rude awakening. And I have to do so much work, but I'm really grateful for the experience because now this is year 2. I just signed up for the second season.
I'm glad you
And
did.
thank you. And I'm finally able to see like, okay, I'm so much better than I was last season. Like
Yes,
talk about like underdog story. Like I was
I
like
love
probably the
it.
worst, one of the worst from the I was on the bottom, right? And now regaining my confidence and just relearning. For me, I do a lot of inner child healing, right? Remembering like what it felt like to be the underdog in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, to then go into high school and honestly like shedding weight, being more confident in myself, stepping up into leadership roles. I became captain of certain teams. Like that didn't happen
Yeah,
until later.
yeah,
Same thing as business. In the beginning, you're doing all the things and yeah, things are working, but like now I'm feeling like a more mature CEO and that took time.
yeah. I hear you. Experience, and aging as well. I mean,
Aging.
it's fantastic to see that. Honestly, a lot of people fear that. I think I'm embracing it. Like, I'm turning 40 this year, and I'm actually
Beautiful
excited
year.
about it because I'm thinking new chapter, new version of myself as well. There's so much also work that I've done, and then I feel like there's so much confidence that comes also with like being able to look back and say, okay, all these decisions were actually leading me somewhere. I was not just wasting my
Mm,
time. But that validation that you kind of need eventually will help you, I think, even grow more because you can, yeah, you believe in yourself a little bit more, and
yeah.
that's the thing that I really like about getting older is that it feels like that in the business, but personally as well. Like I feel like
Hmm.
now it's just like, yeah, like who you are, what you want. It feels great.
A different level of knowingness of self.
That's right. And you know yourself, like, and you keep on obviously meeting that person. But I think that journey is so interesting.
Wow, beautiful. When's your birthday?
July 30.
Okay. Oh my God, my father's on the 30th.
Oh, really? He's a Leo
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cancer. You're a Cancer?
Leo. July
Oh
30th.
no, he's a Leo. He's a Leo. He's a Leo. I
Yes.
always miss. Yes, he is a
Yeah,
Leo.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I won't forget your birthday ever
Oh,
now.
thank you. I won't forget your dad's birthday either.
Yeah. Wow, 11:11 that we're and this is perfect
All
timing.
right.
Okay, so Melanie, this was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask two things of you.
Yeah.
Any intuitive, heartfelt message that you want to give to our listeners at this time, what would that be?
Yeah, we're talking about it, mental health and hard work. We're in a society that is constantly asking so much from us. Social media, all these things, make it harder for us to just, you know, sometimes stop for a minute and then just look back and look around and just remember how much you've done, how much you've accomplished, how far you come. And never forget that because sometimes we really burn ourselves, and it's so easy to do that. So taking care of these things, like taking care of yourself mentally, like it's so important. Like if you are not good here, you cannot be good anywhere. So I think that's the first step. And I know it's hard, but not feel guilty for self-care moments, self-love. Sometimes you have to say no to things. Well, do. It's okay. You don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to, like, it's just, yeah, it's all about prioritizing these things. I think are very important. So that's, I think, my big advice here. Hope I answered that questions.
I really believe that when the human takes care of their whole self, everything is more fruitful, everything is more abundant, everything you can allow ease and flow because, like I said prior, not everything is just focused in one area.
Yeah.
You have, think about like waves of energy in our body, chakras, if those energy cycles, those within ourselves, like if there's a point where it stops, there's going to be a lot of overload in that area.
Mhm.
Right. So everything just has to flow and then our insides reflect our outsides.
Yeah.
So if we take care of ourselves, right, like what you were saying, like, yes, everything else in life becomes fruitful, juicy, expansive. And for me, I'm like, well, why are we here to have beautiful lives? Why did our creator put us here on earth? It wasn't just to work.
Yeah.
It was to enjoy this land,
Yeah.
to be in community, to be in love with
That's
life.
Absolutely, 100% agree here. Have to
Yeah.
embrace that time that we have, that precious time. We never know, we never know how long. And that's why, just, yeah, be grateful for this every day.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Melanie. Okay, you are amazing. I've loved this conversation. How can people find you? How can they look you up if they want to bring your services to them? How do they do that?
Yes. So I am at artisan.nyc on Instagram, but that's also the same handle for all the other social media. I'm more active on Instagram, and when I say more active, I'm not that much, but follow me there and you'll see what I'm up to. You can find me on my website as well, artisan-nyc.com. And for people generally who are not necessarily in New York, but want to learn about candle, I also have that masterclass that I recorded a couple of months ago that is available on
Okay,
my website. So they can check that out. I also have those little kits that I can ship to them. So if they want to learn from
beautiful.
home, that's something I created during COVID because obviously the in-person business was not possible at that time. So they can definitely check it out. And if they are stopping in New York, I'd be happy to host them for one of my experience. But generally,
Beautiful.
if they want to reach out to me, I'm also easily, you can contact me on Instagram or even on my website. And I'm happy to help anyone who has a passion for candle
Yeah, or just needs a little break.
or
Yeah.
just a little break. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. All of the links will be in our show notes, so you can definitely click below and contact Melanie, learn more about her, and yes, indulge yourself in such a beautiful practice that can bring clearly so much from what we've gathered from our discussions today.
Yes, yes, indeed. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you for having me. I really had a good time also with this conversation and catching up
likewise.
with you. And I'm glad to see that you're doing amazing as well. So thanks for having
Thank you,
me.
thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
Thank
Thank you for tuning into Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive future episodes packed with valuable insights. Remember to follow us on social media at thehealthy.highperformer for more inspiration, tips, and updates. If you found this episode helpful, we'd appreciate it if you could share it with your network and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us as we continue to empower high performers like you. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset and thriving as a healthy high performer.